Before I get started, I've got a really awesome energy management tip for you. Check this out. You click like now because you think you are probably gonna like the video, right? So then you watch the video and then you're like, hey, oh my God, I totally love that video. Then all you have to do is one more thing, is click subscribe. Hello, I'm back. How are you, sleepy peeps? This is Heather. I'm the real sleepy girl, and today I had a special request. Vanessa wanted to meet my favorite little sleeping buddy. This is Griffey. He was in the background on one of my videos, I think about magnesium, and he is the best little guy. He is 13, how old are you? I think you're 13 and a half, we guess. And yeah, he's awesome. He's my little bud. I love him, he loves me. But yeah, so I'll try to include him in other videos because he is a pretty cool dude, aren't you? You're so chill, I love it. Oh, isn't he so sweet? All right, well, let's get into it. Look what's coming up. Can you see this? I just got this and I love it so much. So September 22nd is World Narcolepsy Day. I got this from Project Sleep. I will put a link below so you can get your gear, you can get t-shirts, you can get this hat. Goes to an amazing cause, of course. Today I wanted to talk about my story. I've not really gone into any kind of detail about that and from beginning to end. In 2010, I was diagnosed with narcolepsy. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll hear me say that I was diagnosed in 2015. Well, I was diagnosed in 2015 for the second time in 2010. When he called me and told me what the diagnosis was, I thought my life was over. I had flashes of losing my driver's license, losing my job, my entire world caving in, and I had kind of already had enough trauma in my life that I decided I didn't want to pile that on. I perceived it as a burden that I didn't have before he called me. Probably doesn't make any sense, but that's how I perceived it. Also, I didn't know anything about narcolepsy. I thought it was this debilitating disease that was gonna ruin me. I remember calling my girlfriend and telling her I was in near tears. I don't think she didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. And if you can believe this, like people who go through trauma have something where it's like dissociation, where they just kind of like separate themselves from that reality that's happening. And that is exactly what I did. It wasn't a conscious decision. Actually, like briefly, my conscious decision was, he's wrong. That's not what's wrong with me. I can fix this. I just need to eat better. I need to exercise better. I need to fix my lifestyle, lower my stress. I can do this. I'll just take out all the bad stuff and I'll be fine. I dismissed it so wholeheartedly that I stopped going to that doctor, and he'd been my doctor for 10 years. He's an amazing physician, and I just cut it all out. Nope, can't have anything to do with this. I think all of this happened in less than 24 hours. All these decisions that I made, changed the way I ate, I got into biohacking, I exercised more, I exercised less, signed up for a marathon, to train for a marathon because it sounded impossible and I was gonna prove that I could do anything. I don't have narcolepsy, I don't have any disabilities, I can do anything I want. The marathon, just goes without saying, was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I did it. did it 5 times, 4 or 5 times. Each time was harder and harder, but mind you, I was not being treated for narcolepsy, and had completely forgotten that I had narcolepsy. Over those years, up to 2015, I was gaining weight mysteriously, and eating super clean, doing research, everything, exercise, diet, butter coffee, I swear everything. No matter what I did, because I weighed 140 in 2010, I weighed 150 in 2015, but the weight was just like piling on. Now before 2010, before I had that sleep study, we had spent the almost 10 years prior with my doctor treating me for, and this is like so classic, for sleep disorders. I was treated for depression, anxiety, ADD, I was tested, I was medicated. So I'd already tried every antidepressant, every stimulant, and none of it really did anything. Some of the antidepressants, I remember sleeping even more, like 18 hours a day. I couldn't function. I was late for work a lot because I couldn't get out of bed. This undiagnosed sleep disorder, and then you pile on an inappropriate medication because that really wasn't what I needed. It was a roller coaster of misery. The one thing that helped the most was probably Adderall, and I was on that for a very long time. For me, I don't like stimulants. I don't like feeling stimulated and like tired, but stimulated. It is a very bizarre feeling. I hate it. You know, I would be exhausted, and then I would lay in bed and just stare at the ceiling all night, like, why can't I go to sleep? Anyways, 10 years, my doctor's like, hey, let's get a sleep study. We get the sleep study. It comes back conclusive, or I write all that off. So I suffer, even though I'm like making all these changes, and I'm like working out, changing the way I work out, the way I eat, and my whole lifestyle, nothing really works. So in 2015, I go back to my doctor. I'm like, you know, I miss that guy. Like out of the clear blue, I'm like, I don't know why I stopped going to him. I mean, I had blocked it hardcore. I think on my, oh gosh, it might have been my first meeting back with him, or my first appointment. He looked at me and said, I think we need to get you back in for another sleep study. And he's like, you remember we diagnosed you with narcolepsy last time, right? And I'm like sitting there, I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, man, I had buried it. And then I started like panicking a little bit, and he could see the terror in my eyes and said, listen, let's just do the sleep study. Whatever comes out of it, we'll talk about it, you know, when that happens. But, you know, I got your back. He's an awesome guy. I did the sleep study. When you compare my 2010 and 2015 results, it had definitely progressed. If any of you are wondering if it's like, oh, you just get narcolepsy and then it stays the same, mine actually got worse. So I get my diagnosis and I accept it after a very long conversation with my physician. He had a feeling I was gonna freak out and evaporate again. And I told him, I was like, listen, I feel like I'm gonna lose my driver's license, I'm gonna lose my job, I'm gonna have to like tell everybody that I have this, then I'm gonna have to deal with that. I will never forget what he said to me. He said, Heather, he's like, this is the beginning of your life. It's not the end. He's so right, because up to that point, I was struggling and didn't know why. Everything that I struggled with, I chalked up to some kind of personal flaw. He pointed out how miraculous it was that I had graduated from high school, graduated from college, that I got my dream job out of college, that I've been able to hold down a job all these years. It was very important to hear that. It played a huge role in how I've gotten to this point where I'm on YouTube, because I realize how important it is to hear that. And now granted, I know I don't know you personally, but I feel like sharing my story kind of personalizes it. Maybe you can identify with part of it and you can see that it is gonna be okay. You just have to take it day by day, sometimes hour by hour, figure it out. I mean, everybody has some kind of struggle. Sometimes they're visible and sometimes they're invisible. Ours is both. Sometimes we look like we're tired, but for the most part, I think most of what we deal with is completely invisible. It's just too exhausting to constantly explain it to everybody. This is how I feel. Doesn't make sense for me to explain, like, this is why I'm tired, or this is why I said this, and justifying all of these things because I get the like wiped blank look. Like, it's neither positive or negative, nor does it really show signs of comprehension or confusion. I just get blank look. I don't know if you get this, but I swear I get it every time I say it to someone, and it doesn't matter who it is. I realized that I was gonna be way more effective rather than trying to be an encyclopedia for every single person that I met who may or may not cared what narcolepsy was. I just heard this voice inside that said, be the change you want to see. And I went on to YouTube, and at the time there were few videos of people who had narcolepsy who were sharing their stories. That combined with the support group, I started to realize how important community was, way beyond my sleep doctor. As awesome as he is, I really just wanted to put a hand out for the people who felt like I did, where you're, okay, I have this diagnosis. I feel like I'm entering the abyss alone, and you're definitely not alone. But I know exactly how that feels, because you don't even know where to start, who to call, where to go. Like, you just start Googling and you're like, what is it like to have narcolepsy? Depending on how resourceful you are, you may or may not get the support that you need. I have gotten messages from so many people who are struggling to find a sleep doctor, keep a sleep doctor. They live too far away from a sleep doctor. So there's all these other challenges that we have. Some people don't have insurance. There are a lot of variables. And one last thing I just really want to reiterate, no matter where you are, whether you've been diagnosed or not, or you suspect that you have narcolepsy, you are not flawed. Trust me. This is a neurological condition that just hasn't been studied enough to know why we have it. I have my own hunch, and I could expand upon that in a future video. I'll probably be eaten alive for it, but I have my own theory. It's built into our DNA at the moment. And while, yes, we can change our DNA, and you say, well, no, you can't. Yeah, you can. It's built into our DNA for the time being. This is what we're dealing with. This is what I'm dealing with. I'm here for you. I would love always to hear your stories and hear what you're going through. I love it when you guys reach out and share what's going on, or what has happened, or where you've been, or where you're coming from, or where you want to go. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. And don't forget, September 22nd. All right, guys, bye.